Hey guys, welcome back to another video. You guys have asked for it, and I shall react to it. This video, I'm going to be reacting to one of my most popular videos, Alan Lichtman's hilarious 2024 election night meltdown. And he was ranting to the results of the election alongside his son. This video got 380,000 views. At the very least, it continues to go up till this day. It gets views continuously every single day, and comments, almost 400,000 views, also 6,000 likes as well, and nearly 6,000 comments. Now, this is not the most popular video. That is nearing 1 million views. That was actually CNN's election results reaction, actually, so you can take a look at that video as well. But today we're going to be focusing on this video. I'm going to be reacting to it. You guys have voted. 86% of you guys have said yes, you want me to react to Alan Lichtman's hilarious election night meltdown. So let's go ahead and do it. Before we get started, make sure you guys are subscribed, click the bell so you don't miss out on my content. Press the like button, share this video, don't forget we have memberships. If you're interested, you can find links to that in the description section. So let's begin.
Everybody take a deep breath. Kamala Harris is going to win this election.
Okay, so I'm going to pause it very early. Right off the bat, his son gets absolutely delusional. He says, everybody take a deep breath, because his comment section in chat was freaking out over early voting results. And he says, everyone take a deep breath. Kamala Harris is going to win the election. That's his take and prediction. I used Alan Lichtman's 13 keys tracker to actually predict a Donald Trump victory. So Alan Lichtman's keys, if you use it correctly, it would literally predict the Donald Trump victory outcome. So it's not like his keys are wrong. It was actually Alan Lichtman himself was suffering from Trump derangement syndrome. So that's the case. That's what I can say.
11 for Trump.
Uh-oh. But that's still early.
That's not good.
No.
And then right off the bat, he sees that Florida early voting is plus 11% for Trump. That normally does not happen. In 2020, that election, Donald Trump had only won that state by roughly 3 percentage points, nowhere near 11. So that was a warning sign, is what I'm trying to say. That Trump up by 11 in Florida is a warning sign that red states are going to overperform for Donald Trump, which is a hint and another sign that also red counties can overperform for Donald Trump. So even though that blue cities might do well for Kamala, even though it didn't, but if it does, the fact that red counties were overperforming for Donald Trump is a warning sign that he is on set and on track to win the election. So let's resume.
61% for Biden, 36% for Trump in
Am I
2020.
doing my math right? 25 points ahead.
Yes.
Harris is 32 points ahead.
Okay.
That's a good sign. I think she's going to win Georgia. Not good enough.
No, we're not calling Virginia, folks.
I'm almost ready to call Pennsylvania, frankly.
Okay, so I don't believe that you should trust, a quote-unquote expert if they immediately want to call a state, Pennsylvania in this case, for Kamala Harris, when there, as you can see, literally 5% of the estimated vote is in. And they immediately want to make an assumption, Alan Lichtman in this case, to call Pennsylvania for Kamala Harris, with 95% of the vote remaining. And the fact that we used to call this guy an expert, I correctly predicted all 50 states, 312 exactly to 226. So I think that was pretty good on my part.
What? You're crazy.
I
man.
know. Not based on this.
Now you can say he's being a little, sarcastic here, and he said he's not calling it based on this.
But based on the differences. Remember, Biden won Pennsylvania by 80,000 votes.
Right.
And maybe it's early, maybe it'll diminish, but she's way ahead of his numbers. I'm almost ready to call Pennsylvania, to be honest with you.
You're nuts, dude. You're nuts.
Based on how far ahead she is compared to Biden.
Okay, so he said he wants to call Pennsylvania, almost. And there's literally only 8%, you can see on the screen, 8% of the votes in. And she's at 72%. There are way more votes left to be counted, and a ton of these counties. And considering that Trump overperformed red counties in Florida as the early sign, the early vote had him up by 11. He actually won it by more than that, like 14 points at the end of the night. Then Pennsylvania, that could possibly be an indicator that Trump would overperform in red counties and some other states, which he did exactly that in Pennsylvania as well. But Alan Lichtman completely ignores the fact that Trump early on was already overperforming in red states compared to 2020 and probably 2016 as well.
Okay,
Maybe Trump will be equally ahead when the red counties come in. So
That's
who
exactly
knows?
what I was
all right,
saying.
mark this down, somebody in the chat. At 8:22 Eastern, Alan Lichtman said that he's almost ready to call Pennsylvania.
Not really.
That's
Don't take-
remarkable.
And then he takes it back.
That's remarkable. Worried about Michigan or not? Not yet.
But everything.
Well,
This is a real nail biter. And leaving aside the keys.
Okay, so he goes from Kamala Harris is going to win Pennsylvania very early on to then, oh, this is a nail biter. And this is what you call an expert? Not an expert to me. I can't trust someone who literally goes from just, a time frame within just a few minutes. From, I can already call Pennsylvania for Harris with just 5 or 8% in, to literally, oh, this is a nail biter. Like, who does that?
I cannot imagine why Trump
He literally just goes off of his mood, and literally mood swings is what's coming out of his mouth, quite literally.
has this kind of support. After
And he doesn't believe that Donald Trump has this kind of support. I think he needs to rethink what he just said, because if you take a look at the opposition, just forget Trump. You have Kamala Harris as the Democratic nominee, who at that time had only 3 months to run. And in 2020, when she did run for president, she barely got any percent of the vote. And he's talking about, oh, Donald Trump, I can't believe he has this much support. You're talking about someone who had two, not one, two assassination attempts. And especially that the fact that that happened in Pennsylvania, Butler, Pennsylvania, then that's another hint that could have also possibly driven turnout. And Alan Lichtman did not take that into consideration at all.
totally unraveling the last 2 weeks. It's hard to
but like you say, that stuff doesn't matter.
know. That's why I said stepping outside the keys.
It was Trump 69.97% and Joe Biden 28.6% in Lycoming.
Won by 41 points.
Right.
He's now up 26 points. Maybe I'm dreaming,
Yeah.
but results are looking very good for Harris, I have to
Okay.
say. Underperforming, and she's overperforming, and he won the state by 80,000.
Yet again, he says the results are looking very good for Harris, yet there's literally 85% of the vote that has not been counted. As you can see right here, only 15%. At the time he's saying the results are looking very good for Harris, you cannot tell or make an assumption based on 15% of the vote. You would have to wait until the night goes later on, and he does not do that. Here he immediately says, with barely anything reporting, that based on these counties, oh, Kamala Harris is going to win the election.
Votes.
Right.
I
All right.
don't see how Trump wins that state, even though the New York Times has him projected to win by 0.4 of a point, which is meaningless.
If you're
And then he goes on to rant about the New York Times projecting that Trump is the favorite to win that state, and then he calls it meaningless just because he disagrees with it. In reality, the New York Times actually overestimates Democratic support.
Harris supporter, she didn't need to win Georgia.
No,
What do you think happened in Georgia? How did Trump pull that off but not Harris? Too many white voters or something, you think?
Now, to me, that's pretty funny to say, but honestly, I'm not going to blame him. I think that's a pretty good assumption that there maybe are too many white voters, because historically speaking, Georgia is supposed to shift towards the left because of African American turnout. So, with what he said there, I honestly don't blame him. I think that's partially true, but also at the same time, Kamala Harris is a pretty bad candidate.
I have no idea.
So 2020, Donald Trump won 53 to 45.
7 points, right? He's now up 4 points.
Okay, so yet again, he is overperforming in counties compared to 2020 in Pennsylvania. That is a hint, that is a sign that he was probably going to win this state, and he did. In Berks County, as an example, they said that he is overperforming that county compared to 2020 by 4 points more than in 2020. That goes to show you that he was probably on track to win Pennsylvania, and they failed to realize that at that very moment that he is overperforming in red counties. It doesn't matter what happens in the cities. If he's overperforming in red counties, that means he has the turnout within his own base, and that should be enough for him to win, considering that Biden only won it by just 1.2%, and that was supposed to be considered his own home state.
I don't get it. Why they think Trump's going to win Pennsylvania.
And then he goes on to say, right after he reads that he doesn't get it how they think Trump is going to win Pennsylvania when it's literally right in front of him. He said it himself. That county, Trump is doing 4 points better compared to 2020, but at the same time, I don't know why the New York Times thinks Trump's going to win Pennsylvania when his son literally just said he's overperforming that county compared to 2020 by 4 percentage points. It makes absolutely no sense.
I'm not worried about Pennsylvania. I think Pennsylvania's looking good for Harris.
I do too. But I'm saying the New York Times gives a slight edge to Trump, and I don't understand that.
Yeah, I wouldn't read into that too much. Georgia is 79% in now, Dad. With 51% for Trump, 47% Harris.
Don't see it.
Yeah, how is it? There's only 20% of the vote left.
And then you can see his super shocked face that George is about to be called for Donald Trump. Now, don't get me wrong. It was extremely close. Trump only won it by 2 points. Honestly, if the Democrats ran a better candidate, I believe he could have lost that state. And I think Democrats have a better chance of winning Georgia, especially in 2026 and 2028 as well. But you can see it in their faces that reality hits them, and they're surprised that Kamala Harris is losing basically all of these battleground states.
Yeah, I don't see it.
All right, we're calling it. Georgia's red. Sorry, folks. We're gonna have to wait a little longer for Wisconsin. Uh-oh, PA just went red.
Just went up, huh?
Yeah. I think she's gonna win Michigan and PA.
Wisconsin's a toss-up.
Wisconsin, not sure. Trump is now ahead in Iowa.
It's funny how they say Wisconsin is a toss-up just because it's filled in red at that current moment, but at the end of the election, it actually voted the bluest of the three of Michigan and Pennsylvania. That goes to show you that making that assumption very early on, at that point in time, was not a good idea because even though at this point in time it was voting to the right of Michigan, at the end of the election, it actually voted to the left. So maybe Alan Lichtman should not be predicting things at the very, mid part of election night. Maybe until like 60% of the vote comes in.
Who is?
Trump with 49%. Should we call it?
Yep.
It's all right.
Very scary.
It's pretty scary, yeah.
And then they're in disbelief.
Philadelphia is only 56% in.
She's gonna win PA.
She's only 45% in. I still think she's going to win Pennsylvania.
I do too. She's gonna win PA.
So first of all, Trump already flips one state, Georgia, from 2020. And then he's leading in North Carolina, leading in Michigan, and all these other states. And he's leading Pennsylvania, and somehow they say, I believe Kamala Harris is still going to win Pennsylvania. Now, that's perfectly normal. They're entitled to their opinions, but there's so many factors, signs and hints indicating that Kamala Harris might not win Pennsylvania, and they're ignoring all of that.
He's only up by 100,000 votes.
Everybody in the chat is dooming and saying Trump's won. That's not true, guys. He has not won. Don't forget, 2016, 2020, at this time in the election night, we were also confused about what the hell was about to happen. So
I don't see any much margin left for Trump there.
No, Trump's maxed out.
The biggest counties are 80, 92, 84, 87, 95, 95. 71.85.
Yeah, I think he's maxed out.
Easily, she can make up 100,000 votes.
Oh yeah. No, I think she's gonna win PA.
She can make them up in Philadelphia alone.
God, so many trolls donating and being like the keys are wrong. Guys, the election is. You realize the election's not over, right? Just want to put that out there.
Pennsylvania is looking iffy. Trump is 200,000 votes ahead.
What the fudge? I don't.
And then reality starts to kick in. Trump, 200,000 votes ahead. 72% of the estimated vote is in. And they completely realize that maybe their prediction wasn't right all along.
Give up on Pennsylvania yet. Michigan has gone red.
Wow.
I mean, even with Michigan going red by 4 points to Donald Trump, it's just 38% in, and they still are scared. Now, don't get me wrong. He did win Michigan. But the fact that it was only 38% and they were surprised that Trump was up in Michigan by 4 points is pretty worrisome. Now, don't get me wrong. Early vote is supposed to favor Democrats. So that might be the reason why here.
I mean,
So 38% in, though.
38% in, yeah. 80% in Pennsylvania, and his lead grew.
It's very, very, very difficult.
Oh my goodness.
I don't get it.
The only thing that could be happening is that we're wrong about this absentee voting.
It's up 4 points in Wisconsin, 75% of the votes in.
He's up how many points?
4 points. Not looking good.
Yeah.
Baldwin is losing by 2.5 points.
It's not over yet, though, Dad. It's not over.
I know it's not over.
And that's also a very good sign and indicator. The fact that Tammy Baldwin was losing, even though she actually ended up winning, but it was by a very small amount, by just a tilt margin of, I believe, under a percentage point. But not only was Kamala Harris down in Wisconsin at that point in time, but Tammy Baldwin for Senate, she was also losing. So that's another indicator that they should probably note that because Tammy Baldwin's losing and not just Kamala Harris, because Tammy Baldwin is supposed to outperform Kamala Harris. I mean, even though she did, but she was still down at that point in time. That shows that Trump was on track to win Wisconsin.
We're running out of votes.
I agree. At a certain point, the math.
The math just is the math.
Yeah. I mean, hours ago, people were screaming at us not to call Georgia, but yeah, there just wasn't. There was no math there.
There was no math.
Yeah.
We go by the math.
Yeah.
We don't go by our instincts.
It's funny how he says we go by the math, we don't go by our instincts, when literally the whole entire time he was literally going based on his feeling.
I don't know, man. I'm starting to get nervous.
Democratic counties are pretty much in.
I'm starting to get a little nervous.
Yeah.
She needs to make up 170,000 votes.
I don't see it. The big Democratic counties are mostly in.
No, yeah. Shit.
I just don't see it.
This is the first moment of the night where I've lost hope a little bit.
Too. Anything in Nevada?
Nope.
Well, if she loses Pennsylvania, it doesn't
Doesn't matter. Yeah.
Exactly. She loses Pennsylvania, she loses the entire election because usually the three Rust Belt states don't normally break apart from each other. And even if they did, Trump only needed one Rust Belt state, and he got Pennsylvania. I mean, Harris needed to make up over 100,000 votes. That wasn't happening. And at that moment, they realized the election is over, and the meltdown started to happen. They started to get really quiet, and that was pretty funny. And you can see it in their facial expressions as well. Yep, right here. They're in shock. They're in
You know what's
disbelief.
going to happen if Trump wins? He's not going to serve out the term, and you'll have J.D. Vance's.
And then he makes this statement that he believes Trump is going to get replaced by J.D. Vance because of health issues and age, obviously, which We're months into his administration that hasn't happened yet. Now, we did have a vein problem, but still no signs indicating that he's going to get replaced. Now, we still have 3 more years to go, so maybe it could possibly happen.
President.
Why don't you think he'll serve out the term?
I don't think his health will hold up for 4 years. Or he'll just be a figurehead.
So right as soon as he realizes that Trump won the election and Kamala Harris loses, he goes on an insane rant, immediately turns to Donald Trump's health because he is desperate that he won the election. And it shows right here.
He's not going to actually govern.
It's just a bunch of hatred. And, I mean, he was called an expert. You had his 13 keys. And all credibility that he had before, he lost all of that.
J.D. Vance will be governing.
Yeah, I don't know. That's the same shit they say about Biden. I don't know.
And it is true. That is the same thing that Republicans say about Joe Biden.
No, they didn't say that about Biden until very recently.
And that is not true. Alan Lichtman says they didn't say that about Biden until very recently. That's not true. In 2020, Republicans were saying sleepy Joe Biden. So that is true, actually.
This is ahead of time.
The Harris campaign co-chair is speaking right now.
So this part reminds me of Hillary Clinton's campaign in 2016 when Harris's campaign co-chair had to speak out, usually telling people to go home. That typically means that they lost the election, similar to 2016. It's giving me flashbacks to that as well, especially early on.
They're saying we still believe we have votes to count. We still have states that have.
Yeah, that statement right there indicates that Harris lost the election.
Not been called yet. We will continue overnight to fight to make sure that every vote is counted. Not a very reassuring speech.
No, to say the least.
Harris will not make any sort of address or statement tonight.
Okay, so when Harris decides that she's not going to address anything or make a statement tonight, that basically means that the election is over. And Democrats got absolutely sad.
Good thing she shouldn't.
Yeah, she shouldn't. And that was it, and he's off. Yikes, dude! He made like a 5-minute, not like a 30-second speech.
Well, a lot of people are saying we should keep up our channel, and I agree with that.
Yeah, of course.
No matter what happens.
I think she lost.
Running out in Pennsylvania, yep. It's not changing.
Well, guess what? It wasn't until 90% of the estimated vote in Pennsylvania until that they would finally realize that she lost Pennsylvania at literally just 20% of the estimated vote. Alan Lichtman was super confident that he wanted to call Pennsylvania for Harris. But they waited until 90% of the estimated vote to finally realize that she wasn't going to win it. Trump had flipped Arizona. He had already flipped Georgia before this. And then North Carolina. That's a lot of swing states. He was on track to win Michigan and Pennsylvania as well. Or Wisconsin. So, yeah, the election is basically over.
I hate to say that because I've been hopeful all night, but I think she lost.
I do too.
I'm kind of in.
And it's funny how they were hopeful all night when we literally got early warning signs, indicators from other states with early voting that Donald Trump was probably already going to win the election from early on. Even I myself knew that with the early indicators that the election was not going to be good. It was not going to be a good one for the Kamala Harris campaign or Democrats in general.
In shock right now. I've been
Our country.
I've been hopeful this whole time.
I know you've been more hopeful than me.
I think it's gone. It's just not. There's just not enough room to make up. The math isn't there.
No, the math doesn't work. Numbers don't lie. I'm a numbers guy. You're a numbers guy. Once democracy's gone, it's almost impossible to recover.
I mean, I don't. I'm holding out hope. I'm hoping
Covered
that
is by losing the dictators losing wars.
I'm holding out hope. I'm hoping that he serves his term and he leaves and we never have to deal with him again. But I just can't wrap my mind around how that many people can just ignore all the shit he did in 2020. I just can't wrap my
All
mind
the
around
things
it.
he said, he
It's
had
not
a
even.
total meltdown in the last 2 weeks.
It's not even. That's not even it. It's not about the things that he said. Nobody gives a shit about that, obviously, or else he would have lost.
That's exactly right.
Big. He would have lost big.
And that's why I got upset last week because I just feel like it's this constant over and over again. Trump said this, and not enough on what he actually did.
Well, it doesn't matter what he actually did when you have a candidate like Kamala Harris.
I agree. Heard me say this 100 times. Democracy is precious, but like all
And then he goes on this insane, hilarious rant about democracy when he realizes that Kamala Harris lost the election.
precious things, it can be destroyed, and typically destroyed from within. And throughout the 21st century,
An absolutely demented rant.
democracy has been in decline everywhere
And then his son is just sitting there and eating it up, quite literally.
around the world, and America has now fallen in step.
He might win the popular vote.
It's possible.
And he did exactly that. He won the popular vote by over a percentage point.
That would be
77 million votes to, I believe, Kamala Harris is 75 million votes.
incredible. 90%, 92% in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
The margin is now 120,000.
No, it's 215,000.
Oh, you're right.
It's gone up.
Oh my God, he's expanded it. My message to all of you is never lose hope.
You can see it in their eyes, him and his son, the disbelief, and they cannot believe, and they're shocked that Kamala Harris didn't win the election when there were so many polls, highly rated polls, left-leaning pollsters saying that Trump was going to win the election.
Never
The
stop.
New York Times is not a Republican-friendly pollster, let's be honest here. And they were indicating the fact that they typically overestimate Democrats, and they already had Trump with a lead, goes to show you that he was probably going to overperform their own lead from the New York Times.
Stop fighting. Democracy is worth saving, and it will only be saved
And continues to rant
if we all fight for it.
about absolutely nonsense. Democracy is still very alive till this day. Now, probably doesn't have that much hype or anything, but still, there is a democracy, and it's not going to go anytime soon. Trump was president in 2016 and 2020. Nothing happened. You may say, oh, that's because it was his first term, and he would go even more crazier in his second term. That's true, but still, to an extent, nothing's going to happen to democracy. I can guarantee you that right now. And if something does happen because of Donald Trump, then come back to this video.
There are still, more than 100 million of us who still believe in democracy, even if it didn't go the way you expected tonight. Don't despair. Keep up.
And then he says everyone who did not vote for Donald Trump believes in democracy, basically bashing all Donald Trump voters. What about the independents that Donald Trump won? He won the majority of independents. Now, at this point in time, into his administration, he basically lost all that independent support. But still, at that point in time, he really bashed all those independent Trump supporters.
The fight, especially you young people. The future is still in your hands. Good night.
Made everybody laugh. I can guarantee you that right now. That's pretty much it. One last final reminder is to subscribe, click the bell so you don't miss out my content, press like button, share this video, don't forget we have memberships. If you're interested, you can find links to that in the description section. Thank you everyone for watching.